The 1080 Ti is a legendary graphics card, but how does it hold up in Star Citizen in 2024? We're going to do some testing at 1080p and 1440p to answer that question, and if you see one of these for cheap, maybe on eBay, should you pick one of these up? Test setup is in the description, but we've done this with my main system, 7800 XUD, 32 gigs of RAM. Nice fast system to basically remove any GPU bottleneck for most cards at these resolutions. Starting off in Lorville, where we do lots of testing at 1080p, you can see that the 1080 Ti is doing very well. It is still holding up really well. I picked up my one for £130 off eBay. An incredible deal, and compared to what you'd pick up a 4064 or a 6700 XT, we're going to see that this is actually quite a good option on the second-hand market. At 1440p, it's kind of doing even better. It matches the 4060 and 6700 XT, and as you'll see, there's some workloads where the 1080 Ti can just do really well. Maybe it's the extra VRAM that it's got, or just the architecture, and there's some where it doesn't do so well. I guess, again, architecture showing its age. But this is decent at 1440p so far for Star Citizen. Next, ArcCorp, again, lots and lots of runs to get good results. You'll see again, the 1080 Ti is a little bit behind the 4060 and 6700 XT, but a very, very playable at 1080p performance. 60 FPS, perfect. At 1440p, again, it's kind of matching the 6700 XT and the 4060. So again, this isn't perfect 1440p performance, but for Star Citizen, when matched with a decent CPU, you would get playable performance at 1440p. Next up, the Horizon Roof, we've got the clouds here, and we'll see at 1080p that the 1080 Ti is doing very well. The 3080 and the 4060 there are effectively CPU bound, and we're seeing actually not far off from that from the 1080 Ti. At 1440p, it sneaks ahead quite significantly of the 4060 and the 6700 XT. So again, something in the makeup of this card helps it in certain workloads, and potentially the clouds here, it can cope with better. Down now in the city, the Horizon render thread test that I do, the 4060 and 3080 again are CPU bound, but the 1080 Ti and the 6700 XT are not far behind. And then at 1440p, well, again, it's not really that far off the 4060 or 6700 XT. Into space at 1080p, you will see that it's more frames than you're ever going to need for most people. Most people do not have more than 144 Hz monitors, but again, nothing's going on here, so this is about the least demanding thing you can do. Again, the 3080 here is setting the benchmark. That is not GPU bound, that is CPU bound. At 1440p, it's a bit behind the 4060 and 6700 XT, but 94 frames, that's plenty. Finally, Quantum Travel, the workload that really pushes GPUs at the moment, although this is going to get reworked relatively soon, hopefully. We see at 1080p, the 1080 Ti is perfectly capable. 60 FPS, no problems, just behind the 6700 XT. And the 4060, new architecture, I would guess, is jumping a little bit ahead. At 1440p, we have this phenomenon which I've observed quite often, is that the AMD cards from the older generations can't quite cope with Quantum Travel quite as well. So the 1080 Ti has snuck just ahead of the 6700 XT. And again, the 4060 is a bit further out in front. Compared to the 6700 XT and the 4060, they've all got their pros and cons, those cards, but the fact that the 1080 Ti has got 11 gigabytes of VRAM compared to the 4060's 8, it makes it quite appealing on the second-hand market. Now, the big thing about picking one of these up second-hand is that it will be fairly old. It may have been kind of mined to heck from cryptocurrency stuff. The one that I've got is, look, it sounds pretty rough. The fans kind of make quite a lot of noise as it's running, but I got this, like I said, for £130. I'll put the conversions up on screen into different currencies. That is much cheaper than you could pick up a new 4060 or 6700 XT, and it basically performs pretty much the same as those cards in most parts of the game. So the fact that it's got plenty of VRAM, it should be relatively decent at least 1080p for considerable time to come. It's a beast. It's always been a beast, this card. I'm glad I've finally got a chance to test it, but if you've got one of these at 1080p, no need to upgrade, and they're not a bad option if you're looking to upgrade from something like a 2060 or something like that. There's a bit more juice in the 1080 Ti yet.